Welcome to Waterworks' virtual sculpture art activity. We're going to view the sculpture of artist Adam Wenzel. The exhibit is called Off Kilter. I'm Jackie Black, and this is the third activity in our series about sculpture made with wire and found objects. You will meet Adam, we will talk about his work, and then you'll get a chance to create your own figurative sculpture or sculpture of the human body using wire and other found material. Adam Wenzel is one of the artists currently on display in our exhibition called Creative Habitats. Adam is an outsider artist, or an artist who is self-taught. Outsider artists produce a wide range of art, even though they were not trained in traditional art schools. Adam fondly calls his work organized clutter because he uses ordinary objects in unusual ways to create new, memorable experiences. His sculpture can be quirky and whimsical. The creatures sitting on this piece of driftwood are made of stone, wire, plastic beads, and other materials. Adam also makes wire panels. He uses found objects or objects given to him that have special meaning or symbolism. The objects chosen are then woven into the wire mesh to tell a story. This panel is called Spring. What objects in this panel make you think of spring? The panel 3M is filled with bits and bytes of discarded technology. What story do you think the artist is trying to tell? It also includes wire figures, and it's these figures, as well as others in Waterworks' exhibition of Adam's sculpture, that are going to be the inspiration for our wire sculptures. Reclining Girl is made of stone, wire mesh, and other materials. Jenny is very grand. Her pose and her wire twisted with all her beads and buttons and fabric. On the other hand, the juggler is actually very simple. He's made of twisted wire. How wire and found objects become figurative sculpture. This is the sculpture that I made. Which sculpture do you think may have been my inspiration? And now it's your turn. Think of poses for your sculpture. Do you like athletic poses or dancers? Or do you like to watch gymnasts or martial artists? I encourage you to make a simple stick drawing of a pose before you start working with your wire. Here's a list of the tools and materials you may use to make your sculpture. Needle nose pliers, scissors, wire cutters, wire, feathers, beads and baubles, glue, cardboard, marker, pencil, buttons, straws. Here are some additional natural materials most you'll find in your yard. Shells, rocks and stones, wood, and sticks. Step 1. Make a simple stick figure drawing and choose your materials. Let's get started. These are the objects I've chosen from the materials list that I'm going to use for my sculpture. I chose this earring because I like the beads and things, and I imagined that if I turned it around this way, it'd make an interesting head, and this could be like the hair on the head. I've got some silver wire that I'm going to be using for the arms and the legs. For my sculpture's torso or upper body, I'm going to use this painted piece of cardboard, and I'm going to fold this in half to be my sculpture's body. The paintbrush is going to be the scepter. These objects over here I'm going to use to decorate and adorn my sculpture, and this piece of round cardboard right here, I'm going to use this for my base. Step 2. Use cardboard to make a body for your sculpture. To make the torso or the upper body of my sculpture, I used a piece of cardboard. It's about 8 inches long, and what I did was I scored it or made a line across it so that I could fold it neatly, and then I painted it. And on the other side you see that I've drawn some diagonal lines, and these are the lines I cut to make this shape right here. And when I fold this in half, this is my sculpture's body. Step 3. Make 2 coils, one for the arms and one for the legs. To create the coils for the arms and the legs, I'm going to use 12 gauge aluminum wire. And I'm going to measure off a piece about 24 inches long, and I'm going to show you how to coil it. Alright, I've got my wire cutters here, and now I'm going to cut off my wire. And I'm going to use this pencil as a cylinder to wrap my wire around to coil it. Now I'm going to wrap the wire around the pencil to coil, make the coils. And I'll hold one end close to the pencil and then just begin to twirl and wind the wire around it. I'll begin to twirl and wind the wire around it. I don't want to wind it too tight, because that sometimes makes it a little more difficult to get off of the pencil or whatever you've wrapped it around to coil it. So don't wrap it too tight. And I will just continue wrapping until I've got the whole piece of wire around the pencil. Alright, got my coils, and now I'll just pull the pencil out, and there are my coils. I will do this twice. I'll make a coil for the arms and a coil for my legs. Step 4. Add the legs to the body. Now I'm going to stretch this coil out to make my legs nice and long, and then bend it in half. Alright, so I've stretched my legs and pulled that wire out. I'm going to press that down. And I'm going to press that down for my sculpture's body. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the arms. Cut a piece of wire, and I've got my piece measured to cut it. Okay, I've wrapped the wire around the pencil and made my coil, and now I'm ready to stretch it out for my arms. I want to be just about even. Bring my torso over here and see how that works. I'm going to hold and pull this down, make these arms a little longer. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. till about the thigh. I think I'm satisfied with that. Next step. I'm going to use some glue to hold this body together. I'm going to press this together and give it some time to dry. I'm going to need this glue to be dry and hard when I get ready to put my head and shoulders on. So I'm going to let this dry. Step 5. Add the head to the body. Next, I use this earring for the head. And what I did was I turned it upside down so that everything on the bottom goes to the top. And then these beads become the headdress. My body is dry, and now one of my concerns is, how am I going to attach this head to that body? This little piece of wire for the earring is really a little bit too small to stick that in and stay in place. So I have a plan. I'm going to use another little piece of wire and attach it to this earring so that I will have a neck to stick into the cardboard. All right, I've got my needle nose pliers, my wire and my earring. I'm going to straighten this wire out a little bit. This aluminum wire is very soft and bendable, and I really enjoy working with it. This is going to be my neck. And I'm going to twist this top piece of wire around the top of the head. I'm going to bend this other piece and wrap it around the bottom of the head so that I have a neck. So now I have my face for my sculpture, and I also have that line in the middle of the earring to add another design element to the face. This is the part that I'm going to stick into my cardboard, and I'll probably need to put a little bit of glue in there to help that stay in place as well. Step 6, add the arms. I have glued my neck in place. Now I'm going to use this piece of wire, this coil right here. It's all stretched out, nice and symmetrical like I'd like for it to be. My head and neck have been glued onto the body. It's staying in place. I'm going to take the piece of wire that I have for my arms, and I'm just going to twist this wire around the neck. One side over, the other side over. So what I did was I made just a little loop around the neck with the arms. Like so. Step 7. Glue the beads in place for the headdress. Glue the chest decoration. Now I would like for these beads on the top to sort of stay in place. And unless I do something, they're going to fall. So I'm going to use a hot glue gun to sort of keep these in place. So, kids, if you're not old enough to use a hot glue gun, make sure you have an adult to help you. turn it over, and then just put a little dollop of hot glue back here to hold these little beads in place so they'll stay. I'm going to hold it upside down and let that glue harden for just a moment. And I have another earring. Remember, kids, if you're going to use old jewelry, make sure you ask your parent or guardian before you use anything to make sure it's okay. Dot of glue on this. And glue this to the front of my sculpture. Step number 8, attach the scepter to the arm. And finally, this king's scepter is a paintbrush. Step number 9, stand your sculpture on a cardboard base. All right, here is my sculpture. I've got him standing up on a piece of cardboard. I bent the wire on his legs to make his feet. And then I glued the feet to the piece of cardboard. And I also glued a feather on the top of his head to complete his ceremonial headdress. Adam says, making art improves his life. If you'd like to know more about Adam and his work, I encourage you to visit our website, waterworks.org. You'll find a link to a series of short films about Adam and Gilda's adventures. I hope you've enjoyed the project, and if you make something, please share it with us, and thank you for joining us.